Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Shulchan Arach Yomi Iyun. Today's simon is Simon Yud Zayin in Orach Chaim 17. This simon deals with who is obligated to wear tzitzis, and primarily, really want to know. Most of the simon talks about women. Now, Avodim Kainim are like women, and they're chiyuv. Do they have to wear tzitzis? They don't have to wear tzitzis. The Rama basically says, after a long discussion, they should not be wearing tzitzis because Mersik Yura, it's arrogant. Even though, first of all, they're definitely patur midoraisa. Mitzvah seish hasban grama, nashim turus. That's in Siv Beis in the second halacha, and Siv Aleph in the first halacha. It gives the reason really that patur is mitzvah seish hasban grama. It only applies at certain times. At night, it doesn't apply because the Gemara said the Reisim was so. It says in the Torah, Lamai ksus laila, to tell you that ksus laila, pajamas, anything that you would wear exclusively or use as a blanket or pajamas at night, even as four corners, it's excluded from the mitzvah. Mitzvah does not apply during the night; it only applies during the day. And this is exactly, in fact, what Reb Shimon says. Like if you look in the Gemara Menachos, not Mem Gimel and Aleph, the Gemara records machlokas between Rabbanan and Reb Shimon. Rabbanan say, "Kol chayavim," it says, "Kan living in Israel, nashim ba'avadim, they're all chayav." Reb Shimon poter b'nashim ba'avadim, he excludes nashim, and the Gemara says, "What's his reasoning?" And the Gemara says, "The reheals mitzvah shazman groma." Why? Because he learned from the pasuk that reason was so product so slightly it comes to say pajamas are not excluded. So therefore, if pajamas are not included, so therefore the whole time frame of night is it's zman groma. The time causes it. The time causes in a certain respect that the garments that you wear at night are excluded from the mitzvah. It doesn't mean the nighttime is exclusively not included in the mitzvah, because if you wear ksus yom, you wear your clothes to sleep, they'd be chayiv to wear tzitzis, you chayiv to wear tzitzis in them. But in the fact that pajamas or blankets that you only use at night and you remove the blanket before alos hashachar, then they wouldn't be chayiv. And since it's ksus laila, so it is dependent on the time. As we explained, mitzvah women are exempt from mitzvah shazman groma because they have other priorities, and time-bound mitzvahs have to be done precisely at a specific time, and everyone's time is limited. So the woman has to take care of more important things, like taking care of her kids, cleaning the house, and taking care of her husband. I think this is what the one in your Shulchan says. Makes sense to me. But so that's basically a summary of the halacha. Now it's very interesting. First of all, the Tana Kama, the Rabbanan, say it's not a mitzvah shazman grama. It applies. Women are chayiv. It says women are chayiv in tzitzis. The Rama at one point before he says it's mechsi kiyura wants to say that women should wear tzitzis and they should make a bracha, and then he finally says no, maybe it's arrogant for them to wear tzitzis because it's different tzitzis than other mitzvahs, because you don't even a man doesn't have to wear tzitzis. He doesn't have to wear a four-corner garment. He won't be chayiv in tzitzis. So on the one hand, we're passing that to Reb Shimon. That's one problem. Now the Brisa in Kedushin, the Stam Brisa, does say like Reb Shimon. It says tzitzis is called mitzvah shazman grama. There are two Gemaras which are very interesting. There's a Gemara in Sukkah on Daf Yud Aleph, and there's a Gemara in Menachos in the Sugi of tzitzis, which talk about two Amorai, Ram and Chasida, I think it was a Tana maybe, and Rav Yehuda was an Amora. It says they used to put tzitzis on their wives' beged. So the Rosh in Hilchos Tzitzis, end of Menachos, he writes a summary of all the halachas of tzitzis. He says we don't pass him like Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda did the wrong minhag. He was doing the wrong minhag. I guess Rav Chasida doesn't mention Rav Chasida in Masechah Sukkah. He was also doing the same thing, also the wrong minhag. I'd like to suggest that you can reconcile both of them. That really, those gemaras that they're putting on their wives' begadim, the begadim of women really are chayav. Women don't have to put them on. Men would want to put it on their wives' begadim. There's even in fact a Tosfos, Mem Gimel Amud Aleph. Tosfos asks, he says, how could it be that by Kiddush it says that women are chayav in Kiddush Hayom, mitzvah of Kiddush on Friday night, and during the day they're chayav and they have their own chiyuv. They're not. Even though it's mitzvah shazman grama, it only applies on Shabbos, doesn't apply during the week, Kiddush. Still, they are chayiv. Why? Because it says Zachar is Shamar Medibur Echad Namru. Zachar is Kiddush, and Shamar is not doing malacha. So just like women are not obligated not to do malacha on Shabbos, they also have to do the mitzvah of Kiddush. Stosas asks the same thing. We have a medrash that says that Gedilim Tasalach and Kilayim were said in the same breath, like Hashem said, Shamar v'Zachar v'Tibarachad, Kilayim and Gedilim Tasalach. We know that's the Makor. I say Dochal Osa say, and no, just like women are obligated, they can't wear Kilayim, that's for sure. So therefore, they should be obligated in Gedilim. And Tosas tries to make a chiluk, tries to say something, right? Same thing by Matzah also. The Gemara says that matzah is in the same pasuk because the women are mitzvah and chametz, so they're also mitzvah and matzah. Matzah is even though it's mitzvah and mangrama, they're obligated in matzah because it's in the same pasuk. So why is kilayim and tzitzis different? So this is struggles with that. It gives a dachak answer, but I think you can answer for those was that really women are chayiv. They're begodim are chayiv, right? It's a chovas on the beged. And like I said yesterday, Gedilim Tasalach is talking about maybe an underwear, thong, let's say. The main mitzvah of tzitzis is during the day. Pajamas is not included in the mitzvah. Even though that's attributed to Reb Shimon, but there are Gemaras in Shabbos which seem to hold the svara, the stem of the Gemara, that the Gemara held like Reb Shimon. But I want to say it like this. I say pretty crazy things over here, and I think people who hear me consistently talk about these things might think that like I'm obsessed with this topic of like sex and things like that. And I think people would say that and derogatorily say, "Oh, this guy has his mind in the wrong place." But listen, these are things we all think about. This is the most important thing to any normal human being. If you push it out of your mind, you push it out of your mind. But this is, and if it's the most important thing, the most predominant thought that probably men and most women have also. They don't tell you what they're thinking. When men and women are really thinking about all day, if they recorded what their thoughts are during the day, during a whole day. I mean, a lot of people are very busy. They're busy at work. Their thoughts are distracted. But when people have time to think and they have freedom, and they're not bound by their jobs or things like that, their mind wanders. These are things that people think about. I mean, this is human conscious. This is what we think about. The consciousness, we think about this. So the Torah is going to talk about it. The Torah is going to tell you, and the reason people think of this so much because obviously this is the biggest enjoyment there is in life, both for a man and for a woman. So obviously they're going to think about it. And if you think the Torah is not going to talk about it a lot, you're obviously wrong. You think the Torah only talks about it when it says the word Yigra, and the rest of the Torah doesn't talk about it. You're making a very big mistake, and Torah Shabbat is filled with these things, and it's a big chiddush. I'm relating to Hilchos Tzitzis, but I'm related to a lot of the halachos that are going to apply here in the Iyun with Ben Sion part. Whether you want to think about these things halacha, when you learn the Shulchan Aruch, that's up to you. You can ask a rabbi, but I think the Gemara says that Achashverosh, even though he was a Rasha, the Gemara says, but you can learn something positive from him, that he was not, it says he was together when he made this, I guess you'd call it like a game or something, like this contest to pick a new wife after he killed Vashti. He slept with a lot of women. Every night he was sleeping with a different woman. Maybe he married them, maybe he didn't marry them. I don't know what he did exactly, but it says you learn that he did it at night. He was mishamish mitaso balayla, limda Torah derech eretz. That he did the right thing. That he did tashmish hamita at night. Night was the right time for tashmish hamita. The Gemara it says if you want to do it during the day, you should tashmish hamita. You should if you're Talmid Chacham, so then you just take either you do it in a dark room or you do it. You take something to cover yourself. That would be during the day if you want to do Tashmish Hamita. Now that's called Tashmish Hamita. What is Tashmish Hamita? Using of the bed. I mean, if you can think about it, there's obviously a lot of different types of sexual relations, but different ways you can enjoy yourself in the bedroom. But the two main things broken down is when it's just for the enjoyment of the man, like we've mentioned, Ona means to cause pain. You're causing pain to the woman. If you cause pain to the woman, if you don't have proper foreplay before intercourse, so then that's called a bia, and it's called ona. And a man has a right to ona, depending on his status. That's the Gemara says in Ksuvos. That's how I'm interpreting the Gemara. He has a higher status. He has a more prominent status. He's entitled to ona more times because his wife will tolerate it because he has a higher status. But but it's not pleasurable for the woman. And she if you're together with a woman, you don't give her foreplay beforehand. It's insulting to a woman. She feels demeaned. It's terrible. It's a really bad thing to do. You should rarely do it. But on the other hand, the Torah recognizes that most men just want to do it right away. That's the nature of men in the bedroom. They don't want the foreplay, maybe a little bit of foreplay, but they don't. They want to just do it. And that's what they want to do. That's men. That's the human nature of men. So the Torah recognizes that, and that's why it says Daber al Bnei Yisrael. Bnei Yisrael, the Gemara Darshan Bnei Yisrael, Bnos Yisrael. It's talking about men. It's a message to men. Men. It's a heter for men, and this is talking about Ona, and the proper time for Ona, Tashamita, when using the bed. When using a bed, you're doing a lot more things before the actual, the end of the end of the sex, whatever, the ejaculation and things like that. But foreplay, you need the bed for that. You need a bed. You move around, you do stuff. I'm saying foreplay needs a bed. Ona doesn't need a bed. Plenty of people figure out how to do it without a bed. So the Torah is talking about the relationship during the day. The Ona, that's the mitzvah of tzitzis, and it talks about thongs and lingerie and things like that. The man really has a desire, I think, more than the night to do it during the day, if I'm not correct, for Ona. The woman enjoys more the romance at night when the lights are darker. It's more romantic, and that's more conducive for foreplay and tashmish hamita. Achashverosh is not saying Achashverosh didn't do Ona. I'm sure he did Ona all the times, but tashmish hamita is reserved for the night. When you do the foreplay, you can do it for the woman and for the man also. He enjoys it. He'll learn to enjoy it. So tashmish hamita should be done exclusively at night. That's the right time for it. It's the romance, because it's mainly for the woman, for the foreplay, and she'll enjoy it at night with the romance and darkness. But this mitzvah of tzitzis is talking about during the day, and that's why these husbands were making tzitzis for their wives. Gedilim tasalach. He put the tchelis, he put the waistband around the thong for his wife. Maybe the tzitzis on the blanket. Blankets are used both for the day and for the night, so they'll be used for the tassel, so it would make it more enjoyable, the lingerie and things like that. Maybe even make it more enjoyable for the man. And that's the primary time for Ona, for the man during the day, and that's what the mitzvah of tzitzis is talking about. It's talking about this mitzvah for the man during the day. And that's why the men put it on their wives, on their thong, the wives' thongs. They made their thongs. They made the thong, like I explained it. They made it supple and strong at the same time. Samaropishtim, the corners of it. Doesn't mean they put fringes on it. Maybe they put a tchelis, a teal waistband. The teal color waistband. That's the color of tchelis. It was a mitzvah for the men. That's the whole mitzvah. It says it's a mitzvah for the men, both gedilim tasalach and tzitzis. Make it fancy for the man to help him enjoy this schus, this right that he has of Ona, which is primarily during the day. Not tashmish. It's not referring to tashmish hamita. It's referring to Ona. That's two broad categories of sexual relations, and I think that's what it's talking about. So even though you're right, women are a potter, and Sus Laila is potter, pajamas are potter, because that's not the focus when you're doing tashmish hamita. You're wearing pajamas when you do tashmish hamita. The focus is not so much more on the lingerie. The focus is more on mutual enjoyment. Obviously, you can wear nice stuff, but there's different ways of enjoying it, and it's more foreplay, and it's more enjoyable for both of them, especially for the woman. At night, during the day, is mitzvah tzitzis. But you didn't know this, but you didn't think of this. I think people after hearing this think I'm crazy. Either one of two things. Either they can hear this, they're gonna shut it off, they'll never listen to me again, they'll put me in chayrim. I think it's disgusting, or a terrible guy. All he talks about is tashmish hamita and sex. That's all he talks about. And then I hope there's some actual real people out there who say, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. He really understands the things that either we think about or we like to think we don't want to think about. There's nothing wrong with thinking about these things. And there's nothing wrong with talking about these things either. I think they should be talked about more, and they should be let out. People are embarrassed to talk about these things, but these are needs of people, and more importantly, they're wants of people. And the most important part of the Torah is the wants, not the needs. Because are you living to not die? Are you living to live? If you're living to not die, so then all you need is your wants. But if you're living to live, if you're living not to die, all you need is your needs. Your needs, just basic survival. But if you're living to live, the most important thing, obviously you need your needs, but the most important thing is to have those wants in addition to those needs. And that's the way to live. If you want to enjoy life, if you want to live, you have to have your wants also. So take it what it's worth. I hope you enjoyed. See you tomorrow.